Happy Monday. Welcome to the A's to Z's Building Real Estate team. Thanks everybody for joining. There's Debbie Pelham, Sell 'em with Pelham, back from Alaska. Looked like it was an amazing trip. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Happy Monday. All right, let's get cracking. Anybody have a burning desire to discuss anything? I know Liliana, you came last time and you were like, oh, gotta talk. Anybody have anything urgent that they feel like they need to discuss before we jump into anything in particular? Liliana's ready again.
So Rick, I know that you launched your class this Friday. What would be your recommendation as far as how to implement that within our team and making sure that they attend to and holding them accountable on the back end? Any strategies on how we could do that?
Yeah, number one thing is be ahead of it, meaning watch all the videos yourself before we get to Friday and make sure you download all the homework assignments and then say, hold up a sheet. Did you download this? Get completely engrossed into it and then be pushing them to use, because those homework assignments and downloads in the first week are literally critical for the foundation of the entire RAMP program for the whole 12 weeks. Okay. There's the workbook, there's all kinds of things. So get a darn printer. I know people are like, oh, I'll do it on my iPad. Believe me, there's so much more power in holding the paper, holding the workbook, writing in it, and then all of the different forms that they have you download the first week. So
Got it. And it's a lesson every day?
No, there's more than that. Some of the weeks there's as many as 8 or 9 videos or more, but each week has a certain number of videos that you should finish in that week. But you got to remember, Liliana, the average length of the video is 7 minutes.
Okay.
They're not like 30-minute videos. They're anywhere from 5 to 12 minutes for the most part.
Got it. Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and it's not a small workbook. It's 218 pages long. So yeah. It's no small thing. This is like you're committed, okay, when you print that puppy out. So make sure that they're committed.
Got it.
So excellent question though. And, just keep following up with them. I mean, that's the beauty of it. We used to, whenever we would teach BAM and SLAM, we would do it as a group, almost think by like book club, right? Watch the video as a group, talk about it. What are the ahas and things like that. And then when you meet on Friday, you can kind of see what the collaboration is with the whole group. So there's a lot of value in that. Great question though. Great question. Anybody else?
Well, the book is also PDF, so you don't have to print it out.
No, you don't. But I like what Rick had to say too, because I write a million notes and then I'm throwing stickies in there and I'm like, and so put it in a binder. That way you can kind of go back and mark anything that, hey, I may not be able to do this right now, but I'll do it later. Stuff like that. So it depends. Like if you're really great at doing that with PDFs, that's great. If you're not, and you're like, hey, I need pen, paper, highlighter, sticky notes, and little things, you're going to want to print it out. Send it to Kinko's, FedEx, Kinko's, whatever, and have them do it. And they'll print it out for you too. That's always an option as well. If you don't have a printer that will handle 218 pages, double-sided sort of scenario. Great question. Debbie, good to see you. Excellent. Anybody else? Anything going on team related? How's everybody's teams or thoughts about teams feeling? Liliana, with your group, how's things going since our last talk?
This week's my big week. Demoting and promoting are happening.
Okay.
So send positive vibes my way. As far as lining up, so this is my first time doing quarterly reviews with them. So what I'm going to do is to take a lot of the analytics behind. We have our CRM Follow Up Boss. So I'm going to take a lot of the analytics from Follow Up Boss based on, their conversion rate, on the amount of, leads that they've been handed or been implementing, and their point of contact time and all of that, and use that as a source of information. But as far as my hardest thing is just the ones that I'm demoting, how to keep them still, content and happy and not jump brokerages. So that's kind of where I'm, where I can't sleep at night.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the form that Casey did is what do you get when you join EXP? What do you get when you join empirebuilders.pro, which you're a part of? And then what do you get and give? I think we've discussed it before. If you're going to be a member of my team, right?
Right. Yeah.
So when someone's leaving my team and we lost 3 people, 2 left EXP and the team, 1 just left the team. He still reaches out to me. We have a co-listing together. He reaches out to me for support, asks questions, talks to Selena once in a while. Like the support is still there,
Mhm.
but not to the level of being on the team. Like they don't get the TC, they don't get the listing coordinator, that kind of thing, right? But
Got it.
there's a lot to be said about what they still get that they're not going to get at any other brokerage. So
Right, that makes sense. And then, so what if they, so I have a lot of newer agents. What if they need my help on a transaction and they want like,
Well,
at what
are you not their mentor? Meaning they want help, but you're not their mentor?
I would transition them into my mentor. Right now I'm their team leader, but then I would transition them
Well,
into.
are you a certified mentor? Yeah, so if they haven't done the 3, if they haven't done the 3 deals, and you go to the broker and say, these people are coming off my team, which means they're going to go to a $16,000 cap, right? But I will be their mentor for their first 3 transactions or however many are left. And
Yeah.
make sure you put the, what's the email address again, Selena? mentorprogram@exprealty.net or something, and put them all in there and say, here we go, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna double check what it is really quick.
And you only get 10%, but it's worth it for what we, the FLQA if they're on your front line, so.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna put it in the chat, Liliana, just to make sure you have it. So email them directly.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
I didn't get dressed up for all of you guys. I have a very important recruiting appointment, so
Ooh. thank
Tell them that.
I'm kidding.
you.
Absolutely, he dressed up for
As
you.
if I'm not always dressed up. For
I
you,
know.
So
Oh, no, this morning you look like, a gangster when you were on our huddle, so.
I had a beanie and an NCIS sweatshirt on, so.
Well, we missed you at Cabo, Rick. You were missed. So
Well, thank you. You had a lot of fun, did you?
yeah, it was my first Cabo event. A lot of fun, a lot of great networking, a lot of good nuggets that I took away. So I'm excited to implement.
Good.
It was good.
Yeah.
I decided I'm never missing Cabo again. I had FOMO so stinking bad. And then I needed that semi-annual motivation that
push.
always comes with the Brent Gove events.
Yeah.
Definitely go to Build, Debbie.
Yeah, go to build for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to because there was so many tickets trying to be sold at the last minute. I was trying to get them to transfer it from Cabo to Build, but they wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, did we look at Debbie's text? Yeah, Debbie, this is the forum, because on this forum, you want to talk about things like what's the difference between starting a team and building a partnership and starting a team, or just having a partnership. So it is very important. And one thing that Gary Keller used to say that I still say to this day was, who you are in business with really matters, so of course he meant it about being in business with Keller Williams, but I meant it about who was I in partnership with all my market centers. And then I did have one very, very, very successful partnership with another agent for 5 years, from 2005 to 2010. So yeah.
Rick, did you have a specific thing that you wanted to talk about today?
No, I did want to talk about the importance of us. We've talked about don't give them a fish, teach them to fish. I think that's one of the biggest subject matters going on right now, is that if your teams, your agents, you yourself, remember what we speak about energetically, people know if we're doing it or not, or just talking about it. So if you are not being the example about lead generation, like nobody going to talk to me about recruiting and lead gen right now that I feel bad about, or that I feel like, oh, I haven't been doing it. How can I have been working my rear end off in both recruiting and lead generation. So I have no, I want to talk to anybody and go, why aren't you? Right? I'm 43 years disappointed that first time I don't have a residential listing in 10 years. It's the first time that right now I don't have a residential listing. I have some land and commercial, but no residential listings. So I am like, dialing for dollars, dialing for listings. Okay. Casey is going back to Pacific Grove. I gave her 2 addresses that I need to text pictures of the outside to the absentee owners today, so that I can say, hey, I went by your home. Let me know if you guys are thinking of selling it, that kind of thing. So there's a lot to be said about that right now. So.
So I wanted to jump in on something, just because I know we have some folks here who don't have teams yet or thinking about it, and we're certainly contemplating possibility of an assistant or a buyer's agent, and we're not quite there yet, right? And the reason that this came up is, as you guys know, Rick and I coach other people through Workman Success, and this comes up a lot on calls when people are starting to build. Right. And so this came up this last week for me, and it kind of made me think about this call whenever it was coming up on my calendar. And it's the one thing, especially those of you that are a high D or even a high I, makes it, and it's usually this like stop where someone's like, I don't want to do it. And it came up on another one of our calls. I think it was last week. So when we get to this point where we're ready to hire someone, and whether it be a virtual assistant, an assistant in person, a buyer's agent, or whatever, we come to the point where you have to train someone and you're like, I don't have any time to do that. I don't have any time to do this. I don't have any time. I have no time. And somehow magically we want them to just learn and somehow just show up and be operating at that level. And I jump on a call as a coach and they're like, well, I don't understand why they don't know how to just do all of the things. And I'm like, well, how much time did you spend teaching them to do all of the things? Well, I don't have time to teach them the things. And I'm like, well, then how can you expect them to do the things? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, and for those of you that were on my AMP call, obviously you had some exposure to this, about thinking about that right now. Right. I know we have some agents on the call that don't have big teams or haven't gotten to that point, or maybe are thinking about it, or have maybe a virtual assistant, don't have an assistant, don't have a buyer's agent yet, or maybe even you do and you're like, oh, I wish I had this a little bit better. I want to talk about starting that thought process right this second. Okay, right this second. As you're thinking of the things that you wish that someone else could do for you. Okay, this is usually what I tell everybody to do when I'm coaching them. Keep a notebook next to you when you're working, whether it's in the car or whatever, keep a little notebook. And every time that you think, I would rather pull my eyelashes out than do this thing, it goes in the notebook. Okay. And the second that you think this is something that somebody should be paid $12 an hour to do, it goes in the notebook, because you are not a $12 an hour employee. You are a $300 an hour employee. Okay. Plus in California, it's really more than $300 an hour. So every time those two things happen, you're like, I'd rather pull my eyelashes out, or someone who should be paid $12, $20 an hour should be doing this. It goes in the notebook. Okay. What you're doing over time is starting to build what you should be training someone to do, or creating that list, right? And when you get to that point that you're like, I need an assistant, or I need someone to help me with this thing, we're now creating that. From that list, that's how we start creating the training. Now, even if you're not ready right now, guys, to hire that person, you can start creating the training for it. So the next time that you look at the list and you think, I have 2 minutes of spare time, look at the list and say, oh, let's hope this happens. I have to enter a listing into the MLS, Rick Jiha. And you're going to open it up on your screen, and then you're going to open up Zoom, and you are going to record the whole process of entering a listing into the MLS, but you're going to talk through it, and you're going to record yourself doing it. Go here, click here. I encourage you to make your mouse bigger using the accessibility feature on your laptop so that your mouse, if you guys could see my mouse right now, it's like a full inch big on my screen. Like, it's really
So
big.
So is Casey's now.
Yeah, I know, I made
What's
Casey.
that thing on your screen?
Yeah, I made it big and we changed the color because you want to make it more obvious. Record them in small snippets. For the love of all that's holy, don't record things that are like 2 hours long and like super like extremely like complicated things, because systems change, and when you make something like super complicated and it's like multi-step process, when one thing changes you have to re-record the whole 2-hour video. Like when they change the software. So do them in small snippets, but start that now. Like when you have those free moments, and what you do is you record it in Zoom and then you download it and you throw it into a Google Drive and just name it, enter an MLS listing, how to add photos into MLS, how to attach documents in MLS, like little things like that. As you hire someone, now what you've done is you've created this library for them, whoever that person is, right? The other side of that is let's say the first assistant doesn't work out and now you've replaced them with someone else. You're not doing this again with the second assistant. Like you keep retraining the same things over and over again. You're like, go to the library. And anytime that they need to enter an MLS listing, they've got 2 screens, let's hope, because Rick Chihad just finally got to 2. It only took 43 years. But they're going to...
You guys, it's almost like I'm not here and she's just talking about me.
They're going to open the training on one screen and they're going to open the MLS on the other screen. And as they're learning, they're going to say, great, I'm going to watch Selena on this one screen. I can pause it if I need to. I'm going to open the MLS on the other screen and I'm going to say, oh, she said, click this. She said, do this. She's going to do this thing. And now you've got this library. Okay. For every single thing that you do that's on that list that you put next to you, that's what you're doing. Go ahead, Liliana. Go ahead.
Our systems, you're doing a library on your Google Drive and then your videos are where? I'm just trying to.
Like, so I'll create a drive and it'll say like buyer's agent training, virtual assistant training, marketing training, right? And so they each have their own folder. So like for buyer's agent, some samples will be in there, be like, I'll have like how to pull comps.
Mhm.
And I'll run through, I'll be on the MLS and I'll explain how I'm doing it, how I'm going into the MLS and, you know, how I'm choosing all of that stuff so that a brand new licensed person who's never pulled comps in their entire life can like hear me go through the process of like how and why and how I'm choosing it in the MLS. And that way a newly licensed buyer's agent is like, oh, this is how I do it. And I'm going to click here, choose this, click that, you know, and that's in there for them. Or let's say that they're going in and looking at RPR or whatever that is, right? But they're labeled in there so that they can go into that Google Drive and see like what that looks like. And for a listing agent, it might be how to use Cloud CMA to run, you know, a CMA in there. And so depending on your software that you're using, you would save videos based on what you would want them to learn. Your virtual assistant or your in-person assistant is by far going to have the biggest library, right? Because they're doing so much for you. Social media, marketing, how to create a flyer. If you've been doing that this whole time yourself and now you're teaching someone else what you want, all of those things. But every time that you're sitting there going, I just wish I wasn't doing this thing right now and I wish I had somebody to help me, it goes in the notebook. Okay. And then one day when you're like, I don't have any listings right now, or I don't have a buyer I'm showing right now, what could I be doing with my time? I just called all the people in my sphere of influence. Sit down and say, you know what? I don't have an assistant right now, but one day I will. Don't say I want to, say I will. Right? And say, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to make 3 videos, 3 training videos right now, because the second that you have that person hired, they immediately have stuff they can train on. It's not like you're having to think about it, right? Now they have a library. You're like, go to the library. And instead of you having to sit down and spend that kind of time with them, they have something to go to immediately to learn how to effectively input. Like you could hand them the information to put in the MLS on day 1. Like you're like, hey, here's this. There's a video that shows you exactly how to do it. Soup to nuts right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't laugh at me, Richie.
I'm just soup to nuts. Just, yeah.
I've even heard that there's actually platforms that can host the videos for you where you
Yes,
can actually see if they've viewed it or not to hold
there
them.
are. Some of them are a little pricey. Like,
Mhm.
they're a little pricey because then you have to like pay somebody to show you like how often they're going and looking at it and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
we
makes-
just found that, I mean, you can go in on your Google Drive and see when the last time it was accessed and things like that. So if you wanted to go in and see that, you could, but
Understood. And you recorded on Zoom, right? Just to be
yeah, I've always just used Zoom. There's a couple of other platforms that people have used. I'm trying to think of the name of them right now.
Well,
But
and you could always, yeah, and then you could always turn it into a YouTube link or a
Yep.
Vimeo link.
A Vimeo.
got it. Okay.
yeah, because I just put it on Zoom and I immediately download it as an MP4 and you can put it wherever you want.
Understood. Yeah.
But build that for everything because people come and go, right? You don't know if you'll keep that assistant. And the last thing you want to do is like, if someone leaves, then you're training again, you're training the exact same thing. And you're like, God, I just did this. I literally just trained somebody to do this. And the benefit of that is let's say you train somebody the first time, they sit down next to you and they didn't get it the first time, right? Which is very likely, guys. People don't always absorb everything we teach them the first time we sit down with them, okay? Buyers, agents, listing, anybody, right? Think about going to school and having to hear things, repetitively. So you talk to them, you're like, here, let me show you how to put in a listing. It's not recorded. Well, of course they didn't get it the first go around, right? So then the next time they're going to come back and maybe it's not perfect. And you're like, okay, well, let's sit down and do it again. Okay, so you're going to do it again. Instead, now you're like, okay, go watch the video. And they're going to do that because now they know that they have a place to go. And they're like, oh, this is so amazing. I feel very confident because I know no matter what, I can pull the video up next to me and feel very confident that I'm going to put this listing in accurately because I can watch the video at the same time. Step by step, Selena's going to click that button and I'm going to be, yep, I click here. She's going to click that button next and I'm going to click that button next. And she's going to click this button next. And I'm going to click that button. And I'm like, that's how careful we can be. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, going back to how maybe we could track who's seeing it, is there a way to make a page on KV Core with a login, to see who the agent is coming on to a particular or to the mass of videos? Because that would be a nice way to be able to keep a conversation going with that agent as they're coming up, right? Is to be able to say, hey, I noticed that you were on the one of the trainings. What was the training about? Which one did you choose? How's it going with that? And then I can give them other tools to be able to, hone in on that skill. I'm just brainstorming kind of.
Well, there is Google Classroom. Like I've been helping an agent right now who's converting into EXP from another brokerage right now. And I've learned more about Google Classroom in the last 3 days than I've known my entire life. And that's after raising 3 kids in Google Classroom in school. So Google Classroom is free. And I've been pretty impressed with it. So I've been in hers because I'm transferring it from her old brokerage into her own now Google. And like, you can see every time someone's in there, every student and what they're doing and when they are, posting something or accessing the class. So that's something you could do is like, if you created it as a class, and you could see when they watched the videos and you could see when they actually did the homework, etc., things like that.
That's genius. Google Classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one way you could do it. So the reason I'm bringing this up is as people are building teams, this is where we usually start way after the fact. And I'm just thinking about those of you that are thinking about building right now and you're not quite there yet, you could start this right now. Like this is something you could be in front of this. Go ahead, Liliana.
So as far as the responsibility, I'm promoting a buyer's agent this week. So that's new to my life. So as far as like what I should be delegating off to him, I know that you guys mentioned on the call prior to having them just take over the responsibility of the newer agents that join that might need a lot more support.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that actually look like, as far as like how to, because ultimately the newer agents, they join because of me, you know, and they want my guidance and my support. And then for me to be like, hey, instead of calling me, why don't you call him? Yeah,
You're talking about like a lead buyer's agent.
yeah. That's
Rick,
gonna
do you
take
want to speak to Cindy and like what she's doing for you?
Yeah. So was that Liliana?
That was,
Okay, because her mouth and her voice were.
I know,
off.
it's a
Wasn't-
little off. It's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, Caroline.
Yeah, so I would say, okay, so first and foremost, when we got to, and I did it way back when, I got up to 7 buyers agents way back when, but it was me and Coco, 2 partners. So Coco was in charge of all the buyers agents and answering their questions and helping them write contracts, not me, because I was better at business development than Coco, meaning I could go out. Every time I went to speak for Keller Williams, I'd come back and somebody was giving me an REO account or better yet, a short sale account or anything. So, but when I rebuilt this time and I got to 4 buyers agents, literally so much of my time was being consumed helping the buyers agents write offers, make sure all the boxes are checked on the contract correctly and all of that. Well, about the time we got to 4, one of them was outshining everybody, including the one that had 3 years experience, two years experience was outshining even one that I had on my team that had 17 years experience. So I just told her, other than that one agent who always going to come to me, she's now been in real estate 22 years and everything. I want to offer you a job. And what we do is we start with 5% and go to 10, meaning every deal you do on my team, you're going to get 55 instead of 50%. And every deal the agents do, you're going to get 5% of what I take. So if I get 50, I'll keep 45 and give you 5. And you'll be in charge of building a gate between all the buyers agents and me. They don't get to come to me. If they come to me, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And she's so serious about the job. She's now at 10%. So she gets 60% on all her deals instead of 50. And she gets 10% of everything the agents do. And believe me, it's worth every penny of it. Because she helps them write offers. She's available to them all hours. Like they'll get on the huddle today and she goes, oh, Larry's writing an offer. I had no idea. I don't want to have an idea that Larry's writing an offer and who's taking care of the paperwork. So.
Got it. That makes sense. So, and then is there specific training that she does to help?
Yeah, she does. Well, for instance, we get on the huddle, she'll go like on Wednesday's huddle. During the huddle, she'll say, hey guys, contract class at 9:30 in the broker room, right? And get them all to go. And then if there's a form problem, like we had one of them saying, I don't know how to use a buyer broker agreement. And she was only coming to me and Selena.
Yeah.
And we're like, hello, Cindy.
Yeah, I
So-
pointed her right back. I was
Yeah.
like, this is something you should be asking a lead buyer's agent for.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Oh, Robin has a question.
Yeah, in workplace, gosh, I don't remember where I saw it, but sometimes you can see the lists and they've got, PDFs and, stuff like that. There's this wonderful Excel sheet. I was just trying to find it in my computer, but I can send it if you guys would like. But somebody went in and created this like beautiful thing where you can put decide who your listing agent, your top listing agent, your top buyer's agent, and then it kind of trickles down to, your buyer side, your listing side. But with each one of those tags, you can go in and see how they're doing. You talk with them about their goal, what their goal is going to be for the year, and you can keep track of how many transactions they can see. And then you as an owner can come in and see the gross and stuff like that. I thought it was a really good Excel sheet. I'll try to find it and put it in the link if I can.
Yeah. And if you find it later, text it to Selena. We
Yeah.
could use that.
Okay. I have your email. Oh, a text.
Yeah. Oh, no, you can email me.
Okay. Yeah.
Email me,
All
Robin.
right. Cool.
Yeah, I think, guys, it's all about leverage when you start getting to that point, right? It's because you only have so much time and you've got to find people who like can take some of that off. And it's very easy to think, oh, well, I could quickly answer that. Like even when Rick said, she emailed us and asked about the buyer representation agreement, I was like, oh, well, I haven't quite learned the California one yet, right? I'm very familiar with the New York one, the Connecticut one, and even the South Carolina one a bit. And I was like, oh, let me just take a second, review it, and I can respond. That was my first instinct. And then I was like, wait a minute. That's what we have Cindy for. So like, make sure that if you're going to implement something like that, that you get into that habit of like reiterating, hey guys, this is what we have this person for. Make sure and be very clear. It's not because I don't want to help you. We've implemented this, and that's exactly what I wrote in the email. I said, hey, we have her because she's written so many of these and done this, and this is her specialty, and she's here to guide you and help you with this. So, you know, until I learn this better as well, please rely on her ability to guide you with this. And then obviously if she can't, then I'll jump in. Right. But, you know, we never want them to think, well, we're not here for you. We just want them to think we've given you this extra level of support.
Got it. That makes sense.
Mhm.
That's my fear. I don't want them to think like I'm capping out on them, you know, like
No,
just
no.
gonna push you over.
No, I'm just giving you an extra level of support.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Ralph, there's your face again. You look like you're trying to say something and can't find the mute button again. You want me to hit ask to unmute? That helped last time.
No, I'm actually heading to an appointment, so I'm trying to find
Off button.
yeah, I'm trying to not do.
Oh, we're losing you. That's all right. Okay. What else, guys? What else? What about the rest of you guys in the background here? Very quiet. William and Charlene, I don't think I've seen you on the call before. You're quiet.
Charlene's one of my FLQA.
Oh, okay.
So she's part of my organization, and her and I have toyed around with the idea of starting a team. We're both transaction coordinators. We're both mentors, and we rely on each other heavily. We're like two peas in a pod. So her and I do a lot together, and we were just wondering, part of the reason I came on the call was because I have toyed with the idea of starting a team, and just curious about the ins and outs of all of that. Because I think I'm better behind the scenes than I am in the front line.
All right, I want to make a comment about that. So, and then Selena, if you were going to say something, because your grin got really big like you were going to, but.
I just love Debbie, so.
Okay. I'm sure we can arrange for a meeting at Build. So. Okay, so the main thing is these two words, roles and responsibilities. That's the main thing. Always, even if you're building a team, who's got the role and what's the responsibility of the person? So if you think about, and the way they say it at Workman is we say roles, goals, and responsibility.
Rick,
Like, what are the goals? But I'm just talking about the fact that you already, what?
all right, did he like blip out on anybody else too, or is it just me? All right, Rick, start over. Your Wi-Fi is doing crazy things.
I think he said roles,
Oh,
goals,
crap.
and responsibilities.
I was rolling. Can you hear me now, guys? No?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to kill someone right now.
I know. I'm gonna drive over there and like just rewire your whole damn house.
Her dad already did that. He's super techie, but it's anyway. All right.
Welcome to my hell.
Okay, start
I'm
over.
in Eastern Tennessee, though. That's the trouble. So, all right. So what I was saying is we want to talk about roles and responsibilities. You already said that you like being sort of behind the scene, right? So that would mean, you know, you and Charlene together would say, what does that mean to us? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? For instance, Selena's not just my coach now, she's my business partner. So she's in charge of the team, not me. Like, she makes the rules. I abide by them. But when it comes to productivity and things like that, I'm still going to speak up, right? I'm still going to take that front line and say, what are you doing to lead generate? And here's what I'm doing, and those kinds of things, so that we can have that. But the main thing that we see, and I'll say it out loud since you and Charlene on here, is when two people partner, is that somebody ends up in the first 6 months going to bed feeling like they're doing more than the other. All right. And or vice versa. And we always say, if you don't clean up the very next day that you went to bed feeling that way, then the partnership's on its way to ending in a bad way. So there has to be this agreement that we are going to be brutally honest with each other all the time up front. I'm not going to use the word should. You need to do discs on both of you. Have someone like Selena or me be the devil's advocate to this is what could come up, right? All of that stuff. And that's when you're doing a partnership versus building a team. If you're building a team and everybody that's coming under you still want to do their disc and you want to know, but you're the boss, you can fire them anytime, right? We always say hire very, very slowly. It's the same with becoming partners. You even want to do your 5 love languages. I know that might sound silly, but it is so true that you guys are in a partnership, that understanding the 5 love languages is going to be a big deal. Now, Selena, I know I said a lot, but feel free to jump in.
No, I think that was really basically exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I'm doing this right now for someone and that I'm coaching, and it's 2 people, coming together that have been working together for a bit. And it's so important. What is excellent in their situation is they have 2 totally different sets of strengths. Right. And that was like, we had to be super clear on those roles and responsibilities. And it was like, one is incredible at lead generation and just negotiation. And the other one is very, very good on the back end and just, kind of keeping things going. Now he has his own geographic farm and he's been an agent and a producing agent. They're almost at exactly the same level of production, but one is stronger in one thing and one is stronger in the other. And so we found a way to marry the situation, right? But we had to come up with some very clear, this has been months in the making with finally an April 1st start date, but we've been like 6 months in making sure that this is like super duper clear. So it's kind of complicated. But I would say start there with like, do you feel like you're very clear on what those roles and responsibilities are?
Yeah, we definitely have our individual strengths. I don't mind working with clients. In fact, I love working with clients, and most of my clients I'm like friends with now. I mean, I got invited to a birthday party for their kids and, stuff like that. I don't mind working with clients. I actually love it. And I have a niche with seniors, and seniors are just my heart. I just love them because I think of my own grandparents and how I would want them to be treated. I mean, even getting lunch the other day, this gal was helping her husband into the car and she was struggling. And she had to be in her upper 70s. And I was like, do you guys need help? And, she was like, oh, you're such a sweetheart, blah, blah, blah. That's just me. I love to help. And so I love working with clients. It's just that fear of rejection before they agree to work with me.
Yeah.
I need to work on my skin and making it thicker.
Yeah. So I think maybe sit down and think about all of the things that go into the everyday activities and make that full list, and then be like, all right, we have to come to some clear understanding on who's going to handle this and who's going to handle that. I mean, that's literally what we did with them, was like, we just started going through every day, like make the list of all the things you're both handling right now individually, and then think about, okay, if we were together, who would do what?
Because
Right.
Charlene and I are both super strong in some of the very same tasks. And there are some where I may be a little bit stronger at, she might be a little bit stronger at. So we do need to identify those specifically and then see where we can go from there.
Yeah. Start there for sure.
Thank you.
Same thing with husband and wife teams, right, Sherry? Right. One spouse tends to go one way, one goes the other way with strengths, and you just kind of got to find that balance and then come to an agreement. On the other side of that is what happens when you disagree.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to add in the 5 dysfunctions of a team?
Yeah, that's always a good one.
Way to go, Sherry.
It's always a good one.
It's a book, by the way, ladies. It's
Yeah.
called the
Yeah.
Five.
Five dysfunctions.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the contract that we just wrote for my clients, I mean, it basically says if they have a disagreement, as long as they're coaching with me, Selena, Selena comes into play. So it's like, and it's already happened. They haven't even fully signed the agreement. It's like, it does happen. It's like, oh, I'm like, all right, it's like therapy. It's like couples therapy. But just get clear on that stuff. Go ahead, Sherry.
Oh, no, I was signing up for couples therapy.
Oh, you're signing up for couples therapy. Yeah. Certainly just, the more clarity you can have on the very front end, the better. Right. And I'll tell you the other thing, and this is going to sound negative when I say it, and I do not mean it that way. Build it with the end in mind.
yeah, it's beautiful. Very, very well said.
So think about it in that perspective, as though if it were to fall apart, build it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not meant to be negative. It's just so that if it were to happen, that it would be easy for you to kind of pull it apart if needed. But there's a lot of synergy that can be found. Like, that's really what we found whenever I was doing it with this group, right? Was like, wow, I was struggling for so long coaching this one person who lacked so many of the skills needed. And we were really struggling to hire people to work with her to fill those gaps. And she was able to find someone to partner with that really did fill all of that, and the synergy created between the two. And where there were a lot of shortcomings with hiring and keeping people because of her personality, that person had that softer personality, and we're able to now hire people and keep them. So, when you start looking at it from that perspective, which is why DISC is so important. And again, I offer my link to everybody on these calls. So if you need me to DISC anyone, let me know, and I'm happy to send you my link, and we can validate those together. But that communication style is really important to know in advance. Right. And how to communicate with each other, and how not to communicate with each other when something goes awry, or even when something goes well. Right. So things like that.
Can you help an agent do a DISC to figure out how to cage the squirrel? I got so many squirrels in my head, but somebody gave them the key, I can't quite get them back in there, So
Well, I don't know that DISC does that.
Just
There is
saying.
no caging the squirrel.
DISC doesn't necessarily do that. DISC
Yeah, I
just
know.
tells us, yeah, like how we communicate and things like that. I wish, because I would totally do that for my husband. Would definitely sign him up for that plan. Anybody else? William, I don't think. Oh, go ahead, Robin. I see your hand.
A question about I don't know, how do you say that? So when the team is being built, and like, let's say that I've got a couple, okay, I'm not going to say, let's say, I'm going to have a couple of newbies coming on, right? And I am going to want to not, teach them how to fish, obviously, but start by doing the circle marketing, and all that kind of stuff around a listing that maybe they would have. And so how would and I asked this question earlier to another group, but what is the best practice of digging deep into that database to pull out those people, or to give the people, the newbies, a list of people that this is who you can call, but those are like old people in the database, right? So, I mean, is that even something that I should even be contemplating?
Is she talking about like what we're doing with Tina? Is that what she's saying, Selena?
It's circle prospecting. This is different.
Oh, no, I thought you meant her database.
Is this your database, Robin, or
Yeah.
this is circle prospecting?
Yeah, and because a good way to generate business is the circle marketing, but it's always nice to have a listing, because it boosts up your ego and all that kind of stuff, right? And so, teaching them how to fish, but having like instant reward of like the sale of that listing will help propel them, further. And so, with a lack of leads, how then do I go into the database to start pulling things out,
Gotcha.
to like be able to give these people?
Okay, well, first of all,
Uh-huh.
let me reiterate that when we bring team members on, we do not give them leads. We offer them opportunities. Words are important.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and we don't give them leads, we offer them opportunities. And we teach them to prospect and to lead generate on their own. Okay. So when people come in and they interview and they say, I'm joining a team because I want leads, they don't make it past me.
Yeah,
Okay.
you said that earlier. Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. Okay. Like,
Yeah, right.
so we absolutely want to teach them to fish. And yes, circle prospecting is a great way to do it. Okay, so like if you have a listing and you want to get them on the phone and utilize one of those companies like Mojo or Vulcan 7 or RedX or something like that, and I would say put them on the phone. This is not something you should be doing, Robin, right? You get them on, let's say it's your listing and you say, great, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull the list, 100 people around this listing, and you're going to call and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I don't know if you noticed that we just listed 123 Main Street. We'd love to invite you to the open house, because that's really ideally what you would want to do. You don't want to just say we listed it. You want to invite them to something. I don't know if you've noticed, if you or one of your friends, has maybe mentioned that you wanted to purchase in the neighborhood, we'd love to invite you, and ideally do a VIP open house. Okay, don't just invite them to a public open house, do a VIP open house 1 hour before a public open house that's only for neighbors and neighbors, friends, and family. Those are great opportunities for them to develop leads. Opportunities. Okay. But the reason that you're having them do it is you want them getting comfortable with calling people. You're wanting them getting comfortable with a script, right? And you want them to see that it's work to generate leads and opportunities. I don't want you doing it. Like if you want to pull the data and give them the list and tell them to start making calls, that's great. But don't do the work for them and then just hand them a lead.
Okay.
There's no silver platters here.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't really have that kind of mindset when I was, trying to tell you the question, but I just think that, when I think about myself as a new agent that, really struggled to get my foot planted somewhere, because the new agents, they have so much stuff going on, but the one thing that they need to concentrate on is getting the business, right? And so I just feel like I'm a really giving person, and I don't expect a lot in return, but I like to see people do well. That's my thing, right? And so to me, it's not like giving them, handing it out for free, but a person can learn so much through the process of putting it in the MLS and talking to agents, to get their verbiage on, all that kind of stuff. It just seems like it would be such a good thing one time, I see the look on your face.
It is a good thing to give. It is. What we often see happen is the expectation then is that will be
I see.
that way forever.
Yeah, no, if we
I'm
don't,
done, schooled.
well, if we don't, so
Go ahead,
Rob, if they don't expect the fish and you give them one once in a while, you're going to have a lot better results than if they're standing around going like this.
Got it.
That's the problem when I'm interviewing. I'm with Selena. If the first thing they say is, do you pass out leads? I ask them, is that what you're looking for in a team? Right? I just turn around and ask. I don't answer the question. I answer it with asking them a question, because sometimes you've got to dig through, because maybe they are hungry, humble, smart, and coachable. That's what I want. All those four: hungry,
Yeah.
humble, smart, and coachable. Look, Robin, we're at EXP. If they're anything short of hungry, humble, smart, and coachable, I still welcome them to EXP, but not to the Rick G. Hart real estate team.
Got it.
Yeah. So I just put in the chat, read the ideal team player.
Who's
Okay.
that by? Is that John Maxwell or?
That's, he came up with hungry, humble, and smart.
Oh,
And we added in coachable, but yeah, so it's one thing to give it to them later, Robin, but it's so important in the very beginning. So let me give you an example. Typically, whenever this was, before when I was running other teams, whenever I have a newbie come on, they are given the pond, right? Let's say newbie, newly licensed, never had any experience, or they were licensed, but they've never closed anything before. They came from another brokerage, they've never had any success at all, right? Okay, so I'm like, great, here's how this is going to work. Here's your training. You've got to shadow people. I give them a whole list of stuff they have to do. They have to shadow for open houses. They have to shadow for inspection. They have to shadow like crazy, right? All of these different opportunities. Then I give them the pond in whatever CRM we're using. And a pond is old leads. Nobody else converted. They came in, people forgot to touch it, whatever. And I throw 100 leads in there in the beginning. And I say, I put them in your access, in your CRM. You're going to go fish that pond until you convert one.
Nice.
They are not on lead flow on our team until they convert at least one thing out of that pond. Now, if they call all 100, and when they're calling that 100, guys, they are required to update the lead in the CRM. They are required, if that person says, I bought, great, put it in, they bought, or, change the stuff because they're learning how to use the CRM at the same time. Right? They're picking up the phone, they're making calls, they're updating stuff, they're adding in to-dos, whatever has to be done. If they go through all 100 and I can see that they made all of the updates and like it just happened to be that nobody was ready to buy, I'll throw in another 100. And they keep going. The second they convert one to an actual, I'm going to go out and show houses, they're on lead rotation. At the same time, they could be working their top 50 because I'm giving them their top 50 at the same time. If they work their top 50 in their sphere, either one converts, either one, they go on to lead flow, meaning that we have our own lead flow system, right? Leads that come in automatically from regular listings, et cetera, that are going out to the other agents on the team. You do not get on lead flow until you have fished the pond and converted, or you have fished your own SOI top 50 and converted. We're teaching them to fish.
and you know why she's my coach now, Robin?
I mean, right. I mean, no nonsense. I totally feel schooled, It's like,
Trying to school you. I'm just trying
well,
to.
I mean, okay, I was raised in the 70s. I guess it's kind of like the old lingo, maybe.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. It's much more responsible and professional to give that instead of like, oh, here you go, flowers versus swords.
I want to give to them.
I get it.
But I know that when they do the work like that and they say, I did it, it's so much more impactful.
Yeah.
Well, it gives them there's a sense of accomplishment. So in a sense, if you look at it from the opposite perspective, you're denying them that sense of accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
So give them the tools so that they can accomplish, and then motivate them to keep going further. And that, because one of the things that in mentoring people, it's like trying to get some people to just return a phone call. Like, do you want to do this business? I know you don't like that you have to watch these certain videos and you have to do certain things to get through the mentor program, but it's required. And if you're not willing to do what's required, this isn't I'm going to hold your hand every step of the way business. And so they might as well learn that right from the jump.
Yeah.
That's been my perspective. I mean, nobody held my hand.
Right.
And I don't know of anybody else that got their hand held.
That's when you find out how hungry they are,
Yeah.
right?
Wow, that's such a good mindset to adopt, for sure.
Yeah. Give them the opportunity to have that sense of accomplishment. Don't deny them that opportunity.
Thank you.
Love that, Debbie. Love
Yeah.
that. So there's just, it's tough because a lot of times people will join teams and that is ultimately their goal is like, oh, well, I want leads. And I'm like, okie dokie, this is not the place for you. And I really don't like it that you came in with that like mindset. Okay, absolutely. I want to help everybody grow. And we absolutely have leads to give people. Okay, that's not the problem. It is that I want you to learn to fish. And I want, look, if you can close 2 transactions from me giving them to you from our opportunities, and you can close them from yours, you can close them from ours, and all of a sudden now you're closing 6 a month, win. Okay, super big win. But don't show up with your hands out. Okay, get up and work every single day. And then, yes, I will support you even more by giving you more. I will give you more. And those people who show up and show me that they're hungry get more.
It's earning.
Yeah,
You're
they get
earning.
more.
It's
So
a
going-
privilege. It's a privilege to give them leads.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
offer them
Offer
opportunities.
them opportunities.
That's a privilege, and that has to come with some kind of track record.
Go ahead,
And then-
Robin.
Going back to the Google Classroom, then, I mean, is that like a tool for measuring how those newbies are actually doing, you know, being able to show that they are interested, you know, that they want to do the work, you know, kind of
Some
thing.
value in there. I think like people who actually commit and do, like, I'm going to give you an example. So, like in the team looking in and saying, okay, well, I was trying to teach the CRM, and nobody was taking any of the classes. And they would just like, oh, Selena, talk to me about KV Core, talk to me about this. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to answer any more questions until every single one of you takes the training, because we're not even speaking the same language. And if you're not even going to take the basic course, I'm not going to answer any questions. And like, I could go in and see who had done what, and nobody had done anything. And I'm like, this is not a good use of my time. And if you're not going to take the basics to even know what it is I'm saying when I'm giving you the advice that you're asking me for, then I'm not going to respond. Make the same commitment to me that I'm making to you. Go in, take the course. When I can see all of you have completed it, then we will do a one-on-one specialty training with me. But otherwise, don't ask me any questions. And that was the kind of commitment that you have to ask for sometimes. It's like, hey, I'm here for you, but you have to show up too.
Yeah,
Well, it's
Like-
their business, not yours. It's
Yeah.
their
Right.
business. If you were to work it, then it would be your business, and then you would. Why would you talk yourself out of a paycheck? Is what one of my old bosses used to say. I'm not going to talk myself out of a paycheck. If I've been working on this person, this buyer, I've gotten them pre-approved, I've done all the work. Why would I go? Okay, new agent here.
Yeah,
Go ahead
here,
and
take
show up
my money.
houses.
Here, take my
You
money.
just handed over a paycheck. Why would you do that?
yeah, it's nice to be able to start building a standard, you know? It really is. It feels different, you know, putting on a business owner hat and not just, you know, I'm an agent trying to build a team, you know?
Work ethic has changed a lot in the last 15, 20 years. Work ethic has changed. I'll just say changed a lot.
Totally
So-
agree. So I just want you to think about it from that mindset. I absolutely love that you have a servant's heart and that you want to help people, but realize that the best way to help them is to help them to understand what it really takes to be in this business. And that really takes being hungry, humble, smart, and coachable. And to be hungry means you have to learn how to do this like the rest of us have had to learn how to do this, which is like, get up, go to work, make calls, like knock on doors, whatever that takes. And when you're a single agent and you're figuring this out at the beginning, you are literally figuring, it's like Debbie said, it's like someone will say to me, like last week, I had a coaching client that asked me to speak to one of their buyer's agents. And this guy booked on my calendar himself, right? So he picked my link, booked for the time that worked for him, and missed the call. Guys, I'm a master coach. I'm very expensive per hour. And he missed the call. And I texted him and I said, hello, where are you? You missed the call. And he's like, oh, I forgot. I didn't really get a reminder or anything. And I was like, do you think someone messages me in the morning and reminds me when to show up for work? Like people don't call me or remind me to be like, hey, did you
Right.
know that you have this today to show up to do? Like, no, like we're grown-ups. Like you get up, you look at your calendar and you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be today. What if that was a listing appointment and you didn't show up?
Preach.
I'm like, You know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, can you jump on now? I'm like, nope.
You know, I don't swear much, but I swear like visually, so it would be kind of like,
Robin. So those are the
Yeah.
people, like you want to teach them from day one. Like, hey, yes, we do offer opportunities, but we offer them to people who get up, go to work and get this stuff done. So go fish the pond, fish your own top 50, fish your sphere of influence, show me what you've got. Okay, then we offer opportunities.
You have to earn that opportunity.
yeah,
Those are the
I
people
see that.
that
Yeah.
are going to come in to work every day, and they're not going to miss calls. They're not going to miss buyer appointments. They're not going to miss listing appointments. You're going to see them and they're going to excel at what they do. Okay. Because
It's
you
like
taught
training
them.
a kid. It's
Yeah.
like training, you know, when you have a small child and you're training them in all the ways that you want them to be and what way that you want them to go. They only do what you allow them to do.
Yeah.
You got to put your foot down sometimes. You got to,
Yeah.
implement. You got to make sure that they're doing their part as well.
Agreed.
Sorry, Selena, I'm kind of
That's
taking
okay.
over.
I love it. Seems like we're all on fire today. Okay, I have to finish up. I have to wrap up. Great call today, guys. Really good. Really, really good. William, it's good to see your face.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just taking a bunch of notes. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Debbie, I will call you to talk about the email that I got from you. I just saw it.
Okay.
So I'll give you a call. Thanks, guys. Hey, don't forget, we have Builders Best Practices call tomorrow with Casey, and she's interviewing Jasmine Contreras, which is supposed to be awesome. And for those of you that have signed up for RAMP, it's on Friday. As soon as I finish writing up the email, that promo email is going out with the link for Friday. So if you're doing that, Debbie's going to be holding Systems with Selena on Friday for me. Whoop, whoop, because I'll be on a plane
Hey,
to Hawaii. So
are you Salem with Pelham?
Yes.
Nice.
So she'll be holding that for me on Friday. So don't miss that one either. Okay. Lots of big stuff happening this week. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much.
I'm
That was
wearing my
very
Hawaiian print
enriching.
dress for you.
There we go. She's already ready. She's like celebrating for me. It's my 15th wedding anniversary. So I'm
Nice.
very excited. All right. Thanks, guys, for everything today. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.